Hello and welcome. Typhus, the Traveller, the Harbinger, the host of the Destroyer Hive, and formerly Callous Typhon. He is one of the first Death Guard from Barbarous itself. He was also the first captain of the Death Guard and an apostolary of the Librarius of the Death Guard. Before, he was in the caravan that was being attacked by the overlords of Barbarous' skin golems. It was the attack that made Mortarion leave his room in spite of his father, his adopted father, and his adopted father's castle. Here, Typhon and Mortarion became friends as he, with the Death Guard, destroyed the tyranny of the aliens that oppressed the humans of Barbarous. Also, Typhon was half overlord. This was how the two bonded, as they both believed they would never truly be welcomed among humans, as they were not really one. Then the Emperor came, but that is part of Mortarion's story, not Callous Typhon's. Now, after the Edict of Nicaea, which forbade the use of psychic powers and dismantled the Librarius of the Legions, Typhon decided that he actually never had psychic powers, and saying different was a dirty lie and you should be ashamed. But most of this was, of course, due to Mortarion's hatred of anyone with psychic powers. It was not just his connection to the warp that made him a formidable warrior. His skill and demeanour helped him climb the ranks of the Death Guard, until he took command of the Terminus Est. The Terminus Est had an alchemical payload, which would serve the first captain many times. Even he was no longer a battle psyker, he still had a connection to the warp. This made him one of the first Death Guard to heed the call of Nurgle. After Horus' treachery was revealed, Typhon became an expert in chemical death and would reap men's lives with his mighty power scythe. If that wasn't enough, he also used chem mutations as well. It was during the journey to the Imperial Palace that the Death Guard became stranded in the warp. The Destroyer Plague tore through the Legion after Mortarion executed the Navigators. It took Mortarion pledging his soul to Nurgle to free them from its curse. Typhon absorbed the entire virus into his being, bloating him into a corpulent marine filled with disease. It is worth noting that it was through Typhon's machinations that not only did the Death Guard get stranded, but also the Navigators were murdered. The first captain had convinced his Primarch that they were sending messages to the Emperor, using his Gene Father's mistrust of Psykers, and, of course, to his own will. It was after the absorption of the Destroyer Plague that Typhon became Typhus, his armour sealed shut, and to be within any distance of him was to court death of any number of foul plagues. Since the traitor's defeat on Terra, the Death Guard, like all the other traitor legions, were chased back to the Eye of Terror. The plague planet gifted to Mortarion by Nurgle disgusted Typhus, as Mortarion made it like Barbarous. This sentimentality seemed like a weakness to the host of Destroyer Plague, causing a rift between the two friends. It was Typhus' belief that the Death Guard should be out in the galaxy spreading Nurgle's gifts. Mortarion was not one to allow insubordination in his ranks, yet this time he decided to let it go. Maybe he was hoping to be rid of his former first captain and let him spread gifts of Nurgle, though some believe it was to stop a civil war within the Death Guard. Whatever the reason, Typhus was now free to spread disease in the galaxy. In 10,000 years, Typhon has spread plagues, diseases, and all sorts of pestilence through the galaxy. On countless worlds, his two favourites have been the Destroyer Plague, which is the one he hosts, and Nurgle's Rot. It takes 343, which is 7 times 7 times 7, tallymen to count the billions of people slain in Typhus' Holy Crusade. Now this is where we see GW doing the large number thing. Anyway, so, even with the large number of tallymen working hard to complete the count, there are still 3 millennia of wars yet to be catalogued, which is actually insanely absurd, making them count one death each year. Each 20 years. God, that's just lazy. It's not just like Typhus has stopped and let them catch up, either. He's still going. Using the Destroyer Plague with its disease, the victims don't stay dead, they just don't. They come back as plague zombies. These zombies can spread the virus by bites, scratches, or their moans. Yes, even hearing one of these infected can make you one of them. Now, the Great Rift has opened up, the virus has mutated, causing new strains of plague zombie. You have rot shambles, foul creepers, and the more common poxwalkers. I mean, it's damn common because you get 30 in a combat patrol box. Now, due to Typhus and his virus, these foul creatures have drowned entire Imperial worlds with just their masses. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video on Typhus. A bit of Horus Heresy, a bit of In Between, and a bit of 40k. Typhus is actually one of my favourite models I've seen since his inception back in 2nd edition. Yes, that's how old he is. And I liked his model there, and I'm quite fond of his new model too. So, yeah, do you like Typhus? Do you think he's a bit of an asshole as well? I actually think he is, because one thing I did notice while reading up on Typhus is a lot of the events that turn Mortarion or surround Mortarion and massive decisions he's had to make in his life has somehow been with Typhus, or Typhon. Him escaping his father's clutches was because of the caravan that Typhon was in the first place. Him turning to Nurgle was because of Typhus, / Typhon. So almost every major event in Mortarion's life has been somehow connected to Typhus. Which is quite cool actually, because we don't really see that much of a connection with the other Chaos Chosen. Now, Chaos Chosen champions are not the same as normal Chosen or normal champions. You have the 4 main Chosen champions, which of course Araman, Khan, Lucius, and Typhus. But like I said, Typhus has the one that is mostly linked to his Primarch, which is actually quite fantastic actually to see that. Also, we must remember that the Death Guard is still pretty much a stable legion. I think that is one of the reasons that yet Typhus had to leave, because unlike the World Eaters, which have been completely split up now, there's no coming back, and you have the Emperor's Children, whose debauchery and all that noise, they can't be a cohesive legion. And of course the Thousand Sons are just dust, so yeah, they're just dust. There's not much to say about it. But Death Guard are this cohesive legion which work together as often as possible. Yes, Mortarion and Typhus will still work together if they have to, but usually they'll choose not to. And another nice example is in the newer books that Typhus actually reveals that he is more important to Nurgle than Mortarion is, which is quite clever. Is this what the Chosen champions are? Mortals, because they have the free will to worship Nurgle. Demon Primarchs don't. They are demons, and therefore they are still part of their deity. So Typhus isn't part of that. He's choosing this part. This is what he has decided to do. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video on Typhus, the host of Destroy a Plague, and of course the links to Warhammer games, Warhammer Planet, my comments, subscribe, and my merchandise and Patreon. We'll probably doing that. You sign up to Patreon next month, which is April, not March. That you'll probably get the lore videos a day early. You know, you don't have to pay for it. I just have to see with Monday being one. I don't really want to release a video on Sunday because I like spending time with my family. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you all very soon.